everyone! Today I'm going to talk a little bit more about memory. First, let's review the 3 steps of the memory. So it starts with the sensory memory, which is for a fraction of a second, you're just intaking your surroundings. Then, if you focus on it, it will go to short-term memory. If you do not focus on it, you will forget it. Then it goes to short-term memory, which lasts for about 30 seconds. If you focus on it, it goes to the long-term memory, and if you don't focus on it, you will forget it. So at each of these steps, there's a potential just to forget if you're not focusing. That's just not paying attention, not really fully paying attention to it. But there's another type, which is called unconscious memory, which means that it skips the middle steps and goes directly to your long-term memory. This is like your automatic processing with time, space, and frequency, and also just if you remember the lyrics to a song that you don't even like. You're not trying, it's just unconscious. It kind of goes right in and then to your long-term memory. And then your non-declarative or implicit memories, those are things like skills that you have. So things that you can't really explain, memories you can't talk about. So you can walk, but you'd have a hard time like explaining it. You can read, it's a little hard to explain that. You might be able to, play an instrument or anything like that, but it's kind of hard to like declare that memory, like can't exactly tell someone about it the same way as a explicit memory, but you can demonstrate it. So it's like skills you can demonstrate. You can show someone, you can walk to demonstrate, but can't really explain how to do it. Declarative or explicit memories are things you can talk about, like I ate pizza, I went to the store. You can say who was your math teacher last year or something like that. Just any explicit memory is something you can declare. You can talk about it. Now I'm going to move on to some ways you can help your effortful processing, which is very important because this is like what we use in school to effort, we put effort into remembering things. So this is ways you can kind of improve your school memory. So firstly, chunking is pretty important. You can chunk similar topics together when you're studying, and that will help you remember it. Kind of like the phone number idea, you just want to break things up into manageable sized chunks so you can better remember them, and that will help your brain a lot. Gives it a little more meaning. And you're gonna want to space out your study. This is called the spacing effect, and I know this can be hard for a lot of people. Lots of students tend to just cram, but that is way less effective when it comes to remembering things over a longer period of time. You want to space out your studying. So just set aside that time. If you have like a quiz next week, just space it out. Set that timer, complete focus, just 10 minutes a day or however long you need. Like, you're not going to want to do hours at a time. You just want to space it out. Next, this is like really well proven that testing yourself really helps with memory. So there's this memory curve. It's a graph that shows most of the information that we learn, we forget it right after we learn it, which is kind of depressing. But we want to flatten this curve by testing ourselves on even things that we just learned. Even if it's super new information, you still want to test yourself because that's going to help you to remember it for longer. When your brain has to retrieve that information, it's going to help you remember it more than just rereading the same thing again. So you might use flashcards or do some test questions to flatten out that memory curve so you can extend the amount of time you can remember something instead of just forgetting it right after you learned it. So you want to test yourself even after learning something new, even if you don't totally have it yet. This helps you remember it. Next is hierarchies, which is just the way that your brain kind of organizes things into subtopics. Kind of if you think about an umbrella, just like, the big umbrella and then different umbrellas under it. So you want to take advantage of that organizational tool within your memory. Now I have a very important question about how you study for school. Are you just studying in order to regurgitate all that information on the test? Or are you actually applying it to your life and making it meaningful to you? Because this is two very different ways of processing things. That's like the deep versus the shallow. So if you're just memorizing things without applying it to your life, just memorizing the words so you can repeat it on the test, that is not really helping you actually to remember it, because you're isolating it from the other information in your brain. So we did an experiment in class today where our teacher read out 20 statements to the class. For example, one of the statements was the long-haired woman had a phobia of scissors. And half of the class had received instructions to rate each statement, each of the 20 statements, from 1 to 5 on how difficult it was to pronounce. And the other half of the class received instructions to rate each statement on how difficult it was to visualize. So if you can guess which side did better on the little test we had after the 20 statements, we had a test. They were all mixed up, not in order, the same order, but the question would be who had a phobia of scissors. And so can you guess which side of the room got more correct answers? It was the side who had to visualize the statement. They actually got about twice as many answers correct. So this shows that the side who just had to pronounce or think about how to pronounce it, they were just thinking about the words. They weren't thinking about the meaning. That's just shallow processing. That's just trying to remember it, for the test. The side that had to visualize it, they actually had to think about the meaning in order to create that picture in their mind. So that type is actually called semantic encoding, and that's something you really want when you're trying to remember something. You want that semantic encoding. You want the meaning, not just the words. So if you're studying, you want to think about the meaning. You want to apply it to your life. You want to add personal examples into your notes. You want to connect what you learn in class with the outside world, so it's not just isolated in your brain. So think about why you're learning what you're learning. Is it just so you can repeat it on the test? Or does it have any real meaning to you in your life?